Hello everybody, it's me again, Michelle Kubik, and today for our controversial topic, I'm going to be talking about climate change. I'm sure all of you are very familiar with it as it's in the media quite a bit right now, and a lot of people have some very strong opinions about it, either for it or against it. Their opinions are very varied and very interesting, so we're going to delve into that. To believe or not to believe. The biggest belief is that humans are a huge contribution to climate change. And the biggest argument is that there's no possible way humans could have caused this much problems, I guess, to have such significance, to change the temperatures in the oceans, to cause these strange weather patterns and crazy storms that we're having, all the hurricanes, the tsunamis. So we're going to start this off with not to believe. We have had a lot of big changes in climate over our past. A few decades ago, or I should say 100 years ago, in the Middle Ages, we experienced an ice age, Europe did. And so when we see these artwork of dark and cold settings, it was actually true. They did go through a mini ice age. And so their argument is, if it happened then, why couldn't we be having the reverse of that now? Why couldn't we have an increase of temperature just by the world going through its own motions? So we're trying to find science to prove that humans are the main cause. But right now, this is a good argument for the people who don't believe in climate change. The denial of the existence or human effects of climate change I also have on this slide, which I kind of just went into. They basically don't think that humans could have had such an impact on it, but our carbon emissions are very high, and a lot of other factors are going into this too. Greenhouse emissions. So we're going to continue on to what kind of actions we could take to rectify this. That's another argument they have, that there's no way that we can solve it. It's already going, and basically it's kind of a scapegoat, I would think, for my defense against this argument, that they would rather just not figure it out, but it's the world's responsibility to start to figure it out. So it's easier for them to slide it under the rug. So right now I'm going to go with some facts that are going on right now. We have coral bleaching in Australia, and that is because our temperatures in the ocean are so high that the coral is trying to keep up with the temperature, and they're excreting all the pigment and the color that they would have, and so they're turning white. Right now, the damage that they have done, they say that it could take up to 100 years, I think, for them to get back to being healthy again. The Arctic shelf, they say, will be totally melted by 2100. That doesn't directly correlate to us having a rise in sea levels, but it does correlate to it changing some of the temperatures in the oceans and melting more glaciers that aren't necessarily part of the Arctic shelf, but are still in the community of glaciers, and they could contribute to the rise in sea levels. So it's very scary, and the evidence is starting to pile up a little more. It actually is making such an impact that our United Nations just had a meeting recently. I think that was November 25th. So they have a 2-week meeting about what they're going to do with these problems. A lot of the developed countries are going to have to start taking initiative to help out the underdeveloped countries, because obviously they don't have the means to fix what we need to change the carbon emissions and all the other pollution problems that we have that we're getting from India and all the other poor countries that are kind of around there. So now they're telling us, you know, the developed countries, we need to have you take initiative, you help us out. And it's really true. Well, we did have a big part in a lot of this, us developed countries. If we look at the rainforests that we have demolished in South America, you know, the president in Brazil was saying we need to start taking ownership for us doing the deforestation to come in to fix the problem. It's very true. And now we're going to have to. So we're learning that people need to become more aware. Even in America now, we're learning how to save electricity in our houses, even if it is as simple as unplugging a phone charger, to maybe carpool a little bit more, not use so much gas, have a vehicle that's more appropriate for your family size and for what your needs are. So hopefully this evidence is just going to keep on building, and hopefully more people will become aware. here we are in the Works Cited, and I would just like to finish off this speech by saying the arguments for climate change are very, very rooted in science, and I feel like the longer that we have to study it, the more we're going to be able to figure out and hopefully debunk the people that don't believe in climate change, which again, their arguments are valid. We have, you know, the multiple changes in the decades past of ranging temperatures from minute ice ages to extreme hot things, droughts. So I mean, it's not an unbelievable argument to believe that, and to believe that humans, how could we have had such an impact to change what's going on? Again, it's not a totally crazy belief, but again, we have our science, and our science is pointing to, yes, humans did have a big factor, and yes, we can change it and hopefully rectify that. So with the UN bringing attention to it and more Americans becoming aware, hopefully climate change can be controlled and hopefully halted or stopped or just at least recognized more, and people can become more aware of how to fix the problem in the future.